Everything's weird. And now I'm on the other side of the screen. Oh, that's right. Because we actually need to be on. Well, that's not it. What is this thing doing? It just changed all the settings.
I have no idea, but hi. There we
Oh,
go. There we go.
okay. I don't know. That was. Oh, God. Okay. Hi, everybody. Hi. Hello. It's good to see you. Comments. There we go. Oh, Stream Elements. All right. Hi, Stream Elements.
Yes.
I'm glad that you're here.
Oh,
Let's.
don't forget to set your clock. Like it's daylight savings time tonight, babe. Let's go. Extra hours sleep.
I
Which I'm
know.
gonna
You gotta sleep
need
tomorrow.
because I'm running on like 4 hours of sleep today. So,
I'm just making sure we're live on the twits.
I see Holy Spackle.
I see
So,
Spackle. Hi, Spackle. Good to see you.
hey, Deeds. Mwah.
We
I
are
love
in
your
circles.
face.
We are in circles. I'm just making sure that we're live on Twitter. And as soon as I know that we're live on Twitter, we'll get started. We have some stuff we got to talk about.
Oh, it was
Stuff
so
happened.
painful. It was so painful.
So we're not just going live. We're going live, but
It was so bad. It
we
was
gotta
so
get the.
bad.
I have to make sure that we're live on Twitter because Twitter, well,
The scene of the crime.
is the scene of the crime. Okay, do I just post this? Is that what I do? This is very okay. All right. Okay. Come join us. Come join us for chat. All right. Come join me and at Kitty. Is it just Kitty the Atheist, all one word?
Yeah, should be. I mean, I've got the funky characters like in the display name now, but the actual username is
Well, in Twitter producer, when I at someone, it doesn't give me, like when you at someone on
that's
Twitter,
weird.
you don't get that. So you have to know who you're. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay. Come join me and Kitty the Atheist for some fun late night convo.
We had to suffer, so you all have to suffer too.
Some fun late night conversations. All right. So now I'm going to post it. And now this should come up because the one that it posts when you schedule it just says that it's starting, but it doesn't actually show the thing where
I will take one of those hugs.
The Twitter producer thing. Did I just post it twice? I don't know. Did I?
All right, hold on. Let me pull up Twitter on my phone.
Well, that's the thing. On Twitter, on the producer, it shows us we're broadcasting. It's fine. But on Twitter, it's not showing me that. So I don't know.
Working out the tech gremlins.
That's why we're working on tech gremlins. And yes, we do. We literally have really big stuff to talk about. I promise. We're just making sure that
we have victory.
Okay, so we're good. All right. I don't know why it's not working for me. Maybe because I'm the person brought. I don't know.
Maybe.
Anyway,
but I see it.
As long as the people, and so this is the reason I want to do it.
We're Gucci.
If you're on Twitter and you're watching, you can chat with everybody on Twitter. It'll be up on screen just like YouTube and Twitch and the Instagrams are. Although I doubt anybody is paying any attention on Instagram, but we are broadcasting on Instagram live for the first time ever. So
wow.
Hi Instagram.
Hi Insta.
Won't care at all. All right, so I want to start with Iowa. Okay. Iowa is the big story right now. That's where I want to start tonight.
Works for me.
The Seltzer poll came out. Okay, the Seltzer poll is an important poll. This is not Rasmussen or Fox News or something. The Seltzer poll is not just an important poll.
It's like the gold standard of polls.
It's like the gold standard of polls. And what they're saying in Iowa tonight is that Madam Vice President Harris is up in Iowa by 3 points. And you're like, okay, well, she's only up by 3 points. Well, in 2020, when Trump lost the election, he won Iowa by 12 points.
And if I recall correctly, they had Biden down 7.
I
and then
thought he
he
was down like
ended up
18 at one point in like
and that
June.
I think right before he won, he was down 7, and then he lost it by, like, 9. So they were
Right.
within 2 points, which is huge,
Right.
you know?
Right. So um then um Giancarlo Sopo, who's a right-wing apologist. I don't know what else to call Giancarlo. I think Giancarlo would call himself a right-wing apologist. So I don't think he would be mad at me for saying that. He says, well, I just spoke with a senior Republican strategist known for accurate polling in Iowa. Doesn't name it. I spoke with a strategist. I just spoke with some strategist. That's Giancarlo. Okay. Who shared private data showing President Trump is up +5 in Iowa. Okay. Guys, if Trump only wins Iowa by 5 points, that's
Bad.
a disaster. That's not bad. That's a disaster
I
for
was couching
Republicans.
my language. Like, they are, like, red alert, like,
Yes.
DEFCON, like, all hands on deck in the
Right.
Trump campaign right now. They are collectively shitting themselves. I
Absolutely.
guarantee it.
Everybody's diaper is full. Everybody's diaper is full.
I did not need that mental
Oh,
image. I
well,
hate you.
that's how my brain works. I don't know. And it's late.
It's
Um,
fine. I get goofy when I'm overtired too,
a,
so it's gonna be
a
fun.
Trump 5-point win in Iowa would mean the Democrats have won both houses of Congress. It would mean,
It would mean we might know election night, which we were all
yeah,
expecting to not know for days or more likely weeks, but
if
yeah,
if things are that tight in Iowa, Florida is probably blue.
Georgia's probably blue,
Georgia's
Texas might be
definitely blue.
blue.
North Carolina
Texas
is definitely blue. Pennsylvania is
Texas
definitely blue.
Texas and Florida might be blue, like, if Iowa is that
If
close.
Iowa's that close, Texas could be blue. Yes. Like that is that's what we're saying. Harris is not going to I mean, I don't know. Maybe Harris is going to win Iowa. I just said Harris. Um
Definitely
listen,
overtired.
I'm tired. It's been a day. We haven't even gotten to the main story. We're not
I
even
know.
this isn't even the main story. This is just our opener while people get here. Um Seth Abramson posted this. Trump is leading Harris in Alaska by 4 points. Alaska by 4 points. If Trump is only ahead of her in Alaska by 4 points, we could have a supermajority in the Senate. I mean, I don't know if there's that many races, but there like
We're
that's
talking, like,
that's nuclear
Obama
fire.
supermajority, like,
Yes.
approaching FDR levels of, like,
Yes.
insanity.
Hi Maya. I'm not Ethan's live, but Kitty is live. I don't know cuz I'm not Ethan, but you are Kitty.
Yeah.
Anyway, Alaska by 4 points is biblical revelations. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse are
End of
coming for
days.
you. Right. Like that is the
Like, beyond the
GOP's
4, the 5th one, misinformation, yeah, the 5th
misinformation.
the 5th
Um,
horseman.
that's I don't even it is hard for me to articulate if Alaska is only 4 points ahead, what that means for Republicans.
Like, I'm gonna level with everybody, like, I have not been sleeping because I am stressed
Right.
about this election.
Right.
I'm probably gonna sleep pretty well tonight, not only because I'm hella overtired and it's
Sure.
daylight savings, but
Sure.
also after seeing this, it really does it's like coming up like if you're drowning and it's like getting a lung full of air. It's like, yeah, you might still go back underwater, before election day and when we finally have the results and everything, but I caught my breath. Like that is how big these numbers
Right.
are and how much impact it could have on electoral college numbers
Yeah.
come election day
Because
and
this is
beyond.
again, this isn't Rasmussen. It's not fact. This is Ann Seltzer's poll in Iowa. This is devastating. Like, these are the polls that internal campaigns use to figure out what's going on.
Because they are the most reliable. They have the
Right.
smallest margins of error.
Right.
They have the best track record. Like,
Yes.
this is the gold standard
This is
of polls.
this is the platinum standard. This is the diamond standard. This is the elite among the elite. Anyway, that's why Twitter is absolutely blowing up right now, both on the left and the right. I mean, the stuff on the right, like Giancarlo, his whole, well,
The copium.
my internal pollster that I won't name says that Trump's up by 5 in Iowa. And it's like, no, that's really bad.
Yeah, even if it's true, which it's not, because
It's not.
again, like,
Right.
Kamala's up by 3, but even if benefit of the doubt that
Sure.
he's not totally just talking out of his ass
Right.
and high on his supply of copium, those are terrible
Those are,
numbers for
those are,
Trump.
those are terrible. Those are, anyway.
Okay, now
So,
show me on the Levi pillow where the Twitter space has touched you.
okay. 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 So, lately I've been going into Twitter Spaces more often. As I'm trying to the fact of the matter is, and when I say this I feel like I'm bragging, but I'm not bragging, but I have 20,000 followers, almost 21,000 followers on Twitter. And when I go into spaces, I bring people with me because they see that I'm a speaker in Twitter and people come in. I mean, not a ton of people or anything, but I usually, like, a dozen people will show up because they get a notification on their page because I'm in there because I have so many followers. Thank you, Maya. Again, not bragging. It's just, so when I go, like, that's why I'm going into spaces, because people follow me into spaces. One of the people that followed me into space today was Kitty. And the space was about community notes, and that's why I wanted to go, because I want to see some things need to change about community notes. Okay. Community notes, of course, if people don't know, I'll keep this really, really short. It was based on, Elon did not invent it. Before Elon bought Twitter, it was called Birdwatch. You had to be a part of Birdwatch in order to see Birdwatch, but Birdwatch was basically the same thing. Like, you would say something and Birdwatch fact checked you, but it wasn't open to everybody. It was just something that you opted into if you wanted to, because most people weren't on Twitter for politics and news. So you weren't fact checking, like, you know, your football news or whatever, right? Like, Birdwatch wasn't, there probably was a Birdwatch for it, but that wasn't, it was, misinformation wasn't rampant across the platform because they had a content moderation team that was taking care of it. What did you just knock over? What? Yeah. Okay. Franklin's tail just knocked a bunch of stuff off my desk. Okay. I know you didn't mean to. I know. You're just happy to get pets. I know. You're a good boy. So when Elon took it over, he took Birdwatch, turned it into community notes, and made it available to everybody, which a lot of us were like, okay, great. This is a good thing. I personally believe that there's been a lot of times when community notes has worked and has identified something that was untrue, and the community has come together and said, hey, this isn't true, and here's the facts, and they've cited reasonable sources, and the other members of community notes have upvoted or downvoted. That has happened. I've seen it happen. It hasn't happened lately. Over the past 6 months or so ish, community notes has gotten worse. And a story came out today that there is a group chat on Twitter of people who are of the right-leaning persuasion, who are actively engagement for, I don't know that the story came out today. Maybe the story came out yesterday, but that are actively engagement farming, that they are coordinating and saying, hey, everybody, go to this community note and upvote it, or go to this community note and downvote it. And the person who was running the space, her name is Molly, and she was trying to ping Elon every day, all day, and say, hey, can you look into this? Like, we we don't want community notes unfairly manipulated. We want community notes to work and to be reliable. And if people are using it to engagement farm or using it to unfairly manipulate otherwise, accurate community notes, well, we'd like something to be done about that. And of course, Elon didn't respond. And so she put out a thing. She's like, hey, if I do a space on this, would anyone join? I was like, I'll join. And then she did it. And Grant Cardone was there at one point. George Santos showed up. There were a bunch of right-wing people. There were a bunch of left-wing people. And I kind of yelled at someone.
I mean, I was a bit taken aback when it happened, but the righteous fury, like, not gonna lie, like, mad respect.
Listen, I am of German and Italian heritage. And
My
when the wrong
grandmother was half
things
Irish,
happen,
half Italian, and my dad is of German and English stock, so yeah.
when people say things, certain things, sometimes I get a little mad. What specifically happened was there were some people in there. Unfortunately, it devolved into a political debate, which was not the point of the space. The point of the space was talk about community notes. Fortunately, it devolved into a political debate, which happens a lot of times in spaces. If you were over on the old Google Hangouts with us back in the day, this used to happen. We would open, or not we, I mean, I don't think I ever hosted a Google Hangouts. I may have hosted like one ever. So I always joined them. But we would do like Google Hangouts about, I'm not even talking about the flat earth ones, because we used to do a lot of flat earth ones. We do ones sometimes on like Chupacabra, or we do a Google Hangout on like, the abominable snowman. I don't know, like weird conspiracy theories, just to get people in and be like, oh yeah, well, I heard this story, just because it was fun, right? If they went on about 2 or 3 hours, they would either devolve into a religious argument or a political argument. Almost 100% of the time. And actually, the ones that didn't were the flat Earth ones, which would usually stay pretty focused on flat Earth.
It's its own like type of insanity, though.
It is.
But it is kind of the Godwin's law of unmoderated group discussions online. Of eventually it will devolve into politics or religion arguments.
Right. It's almost like Rule 34, but for whatever reason, whenever you get a bunch of random people together in a somewhat anonymous space on the internet, those conversations tend to devolve into either politics or religion. And it's just how it is. I think it's because, especially in this day and age, so many places you can't talk about those things that people start to talk about them.
You need the outlet.
So specifically what they started to talk about was where I live, Western North Carolina. And we were talking about disinformation on the platform. And the guy was basically saying that the information about FEMA blockades and, well, first we'd had this lady who said, no, it was the guy first, and then it was the lady. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, he said that, the information on like FEMA blockades and stuff had been unfairly
community
censored.
Noted. Like, yeah, it had been like suppressed, and community noted that they were like, they were suppressing it. The liberals were going after it, saying it wasn't true.
And that's, I think, what pissed me off is when he specifically pinned it on liberals saying that it was misinformation. And I lost it. I mean, I was F-wording him. I lost it because, and I want to explain, because I don't think I explained it really well. when my power was out, when my water was out, when my cell phone service was out. The reason that I was able to contact my family and have clean water to drink was because FEMA got fuel to the Publix. And I could walk over to the Publix and it was free water. However, how much water do you need? That you could get up to an entire case, 6 gallons of water, no questions asked. It was yours to take home. They had free Wi-Fi. They had power. I was able to contact my family. I was able to contact my job, and I was able to tell them that I was okay. My boss, well, he's not really my boss. He's my manager. I had 6 texts from him. He is in Charlotte, and all Charlotte knew was that the interstate was cut off and there was flooding everywhere. He was like, "Oh my God, are you dead?" I mean, he didn't say it that way, but like I go to work every day, you know, like I love I love helping people the way that I help them. And I just didn't show up on Friday. And suddenly all he knows is the interstate's out and we're all drowned and gone. Right.
Like an act of God basically just
Right.
wiped Asheville off the
Just
face of
wiped
the earth.
Asheville off the face of the map. And he's like, I remember the one text I had from him. He's like, "Please just let me know you're okay." Like the first one was like, "Hey, you didn't show up to work this morning. Uh, did you take a day off and forget to schedule it?" Like it was like, I love the people that I work with. Like they weren't like, "Why aren't you at work?" He's like, "Hey, did you just forget to schedule your day off?" You know, like that was the first one. And the
Aw.
last one's like, please just tell
Are
me
you
you're okay.
okay?
Right. And I was able to get in contact with him. I was able to contact my parents, siblings, and everything because FEMA got fuel to the Publix, and the Publix could turn their generator on. Right? Like that's what FEMA meant to my side of town. I mean, obviously there are different stories all over side of town, but here on this side of town, FEMA got gas to the Publix generator and to the Ace Hardware generator. And the Ace Hardware had flashlight batteries, and it had all the little things that you need during a disaster. It had bleach to sanitize what water we could get out of the taps while before the water because they had to turn the water off. I lost it on the dude. And then the lady started bringing up some story about, she's like, "Well, did you see the story about the guy with his warehouse that I was like, "Yeah, oh, what story? What's the story?" And she's like, "Well, it was something that I heard where maybe his wife, and somebody else in the space, the host of space was like, "Oh yeah, a guy was inconvenienced by FEMA because they stored a bunch of stuff in the warehouse that he said they could use. And that's as bad as, oh, FEMA is taking people's property and all the other lies that they were spewing."
I don't think you guys like you've never heard him get angry. You could hear the righteous fury. Like he straight up when they tried to talk over him said, "No, you will not talk over me. I am speaking." And I'm like, "Oh, it was so good. It was so good."
It's record. I mean, you can go list if you want to go on Twitter. You can go look at my time. I haven't reshared it or anything. I felt bad. I apologize to the person who ran the spaces.
I
I'm
don't
so
think you should
sorry.
have apologized because
To her
you
because she was running the space.
fine.
You know.
But even still, considering the fact, like, I would understand if you had blown up the way that you did and you were, say, in Florida or New York or California, and it was just a liberal versus a conservative. But no, you were actually affected. Like, you were in the impacted area. Like, FEMA helped you, like, directly because of this. So having someone spew misinformation that has led to people not seeking help that they need, people, afraid to reach out for help or thinking that even if they reach out for help, they're not going to get any because of all the misinformation. No, like there is a time and a place to stand firm and be harsh. And you weren't cruel, but you were firm and there was the righteous anger in your voice. And I believe you were totally justified.
Well, thank you. I do too. But I still felt bad. Listen, what those two people were spewing was absolute, complete and utter lies. Lies that directly affected me, my family. My family lives here too. It's not just me that lives in Asheville. I have loved ones that live here. They affected my community. We had, let me tell you a story. One of the people that lives in my apartment complex is the manager at a local restaurant. Now, due to the fact that they are so close to the power generation source, that restaurant was like one of two downtown that never lost power. So they were cooking food. They were cooking between 400 and 500 meals a day and giving them out for free. So they started communicating with FEMA and letting FEMA know, hey, we've got this food. Well, what that did is other restaurants that still had food that was still good because they were in deep freezers or other stuff started bringing food to that restaurant because that restaurant had power and they could cook hot meals for people. And my friend said, hey, this misinformation that's coming out about FEMA means we may not be able to cook food tomorrow. And there were people by like that Friday that were starting to depend on the fact that they could go downtown to this restaurant and get hot food. And these lies that conservatives were spewing on Twitter were starting to make them think, oh, maybe we shouldn't do that. Because it could be dangerous for us to provide the free food that we're providing to the community. So it wasn't just and the other thing that I didn't even bring up in that, I'm starting to get mad again, is that all of the people that were spewing these lies that were hurting me and hurting the people in my community, they were making money off of the engagement that they were farming off of these lies. They were literally causing harm to me and my community and making money off of it.
And like, it's bad enough if you're just misinformed and spreading that bullshit around, but when you are directly profiting off of the suffering of others, like, that is just a level of scummy. And unfortunately, natural disasters tend to bring out the best and worst in people. I mean, you were in Florida in 2004. You remember that year, and the hurricanes.
I do.
So, I mean, we had a similar thing where my dad had generators, so everybody in the neighborhood, like, we had multiple fridges and freezers, and all of the perishables were brought, and my dad had a restaurant when we lived in Massachusetts, and so he's cooking and prepping this food, and then
Sure.
we've got people driving around refilling coffee mugs as we're cleaning up the damage from one of the 3 storms that hit us that year.
God, that October was
It was
insane.
fucking insane. But that aside, I mean, this restaurant was basically just doing a similar thing for a larger community than a neighborhood.
Right.
And, that is an example of, these kinds of things bringing out the best in people.
Sure.
And then when you have people with a profit motive through engagement and rage bait, getting clicks and everything, when they're actually not only putting people at risk by just the sheer fact that they might not get a meal,
Right.
which is not good, but also when you have people deciding they want to go, like, confront FEMA workers, because they're doing these unspeakable evils in the name of big scary government, like, people were put at risk in more ways than just one, and, like, that is bringing out the worst in people, and unfortunately, the engagement farming and the monetization of outrage online,
Yep.
it tends to exacerbate the negative aspects of what is brought out from these types of natural disasters, unfortunately.
And one of the things that I saw online was people being discouraged from contacting FEMA for help because they thought that they would lose their property, or they thought that the money that came in would only be a loan that they'd have to pay back, that sort of thing.
Yeah, like, oh, millionaires taking out PPP loans during the pandemic that they didn't have to pay back, but, we're gonna fearmonger, that, oh, any FEMA relief you get is only, a loan and you have to pay it back with
Which is
interest.
complete and utter bullshit. I told Kitty this last night on TikTok, so I haven't said it here, so I'll say it here. Um, Yesterday in the mail arrived a food stamp card for me with $300 on it that I just get for being in a federal disaster. I just get it. I've never had food stamps before in my life, but they called me. Well, I had to apply for general disaster resistance, and part of that was applying. It also there was an application for DSNAP, and they called me and she's like, "Well, did you have to throw out any food?" And I was like, "Yeah, I had to throw out like $400 worth of food. I mean, everything in my fridge and freezer went bad. I mean, it was in there without power for 4 days. Like you don't keep. I'm sorry, 5 days. So you don't keep that." And I was like, "Yeah, I had to throw out like $400 or $500 worth of food. I mean, I throw out everything, like the mustard and the mayonnaise, like everything that you just keep in your fridge, you know." And she's like, "Okay, well then you qualify for this assistance." And the fact that people, I'm fortunate. I'm middle class. Like I'm not struggling or anything. But there are people who aren't me, who like $300 worth of food could be like that could be like a month's worth of food for them and their family.
Hmm.
And they're being discouraged from seeking out the help by people who are lying to them on Twitter in order
Which
for
means their
those
kids
people
could
to
go
make profit.
hungry. And, like, there is nothing I hate more than the idea of a child with an empty belly. That that
Yeah,
absolutely is, like, top of my list of things that will make me angry.
yes. Absolutely. I mean, I've talked about it before. The pack that I used to work with, that was one of our big things was making sure that children got, meals at school, passing legislation to ensure that. We weren't successful, but we tried. Um, anyway, I yelled at them and I felt bad afterwards. And then George Santos came in and talked. He talked for like 10 minutes straight, like in this
Oh god, it was
like
it was
stream of
painful.
consciousness ramble. And like
He brought up
all of
Cenk
it,
Uygur from the Young Turks and an argument he had with him.
yeah,
Like, it was
like,
all
a-
over the place.
and then, well, first he started with the Biden statement and made a complete misstatement about what Biden said, of course.
Mhm.
Um,
But it's
and then
Santos.
just kept going to the next topic without anyone having a moment to rebut him. Which I pulled up the full statement. I put up my hand because I was going to be like, well, you only the if you stop the sentence halfway through, then yes, it looks like he was talking about Trump supporters. But if you continue the rest of the sentence, it's obvious that that's not what he was saying. It only works if you stop the sentence in the middle. Um,
I mean, I'm in the camp that even if he just straight up said Trump supporters at this state, of the game are garbage, like, I would have been like, "Based," like, I wouldn't
sure,
argue.
I,
Uh, but, you know
maybe only 99%. Maya says a a guy called a show the other day complaining that his father-in-law needed a lot of help, but wouldn't go to FEMA because of all the lies he was being told from the right. They lived across the country and were in no position to help. He was so frustrated he sounded like he would cry. Maya, that kind of story is what was on my mind when I was screaming at them.
Yeah.
That's why I screamed at them. I think maybe see the thing is, if this were a normal week, I'd say, hey guys, on Tuesday, tune in because we're going to listen to that whole space and I'll respond to the whole thing. But Tuesday is is election night, so guys, on Tuesday I'm going to be live on TikTok because we're doing a whole election thing. Under normal circumstances, that would be the show content this week. Would be the spaces. And by next week, no one will care. So I don't know. What I would like to at some point, not the whole thing, because we were in there for like 3 hours. There's no way that I could respond. I mean, unless I stream for like 12 hours straight. But at least get that George Santos piece. That's an hour of content going through everything that all the lies that he spewed.
I mean, you could just, do it instead of as, a live show, you could just, like, chunk it up into,
Yeah. Well,
smaller, more manageable pieces rather than trying to do, because you're
yeah,
right,
I don't
it'd
know.
be an hour just for Santos, and that wouldn't even touch the FEMA stuff, that wouldn't even touch that
Yeah, that's what I'm
one
saying.
woman in New York who
We could
was
do a
just
4-hour show on.
wild. The
I
woman was
mean, the stuff that was in
wild.
the space. You guys, we aren't overselling it. I
No.
promise you, we aren't
Like, you'll think you're prepared, and then all of a
right.
sudden, Illidan's just gonna pop out like you were not
You are not
prepared.
prepared. There was this guy that was from New York, and he said a lot of really salient things. A Jewish guy from New York, and he said a lot of salient things about
Oh
the
god.
MSG rally. And then this other woman that's from New York is like,
I know Jewish people,
I know
and
Jewish people.
I
I'm
live
from
in
New
New
York,
York.
and that was not no Nazi rally. Like
And basically, "You're a traitor to your kind," was the implication of what she was
basically, yeah.
saying. It was
Basically, I'm
wild.
not Jewish, but I know, but I have Jewish friends. Was
I've sat
basically the
Shiva,
argument,
so I know better than a Jew, and
right?
you're like a traitor to your people. Like, it
At
was
at
wild.
one point, she basically did a Spaceballs where she was like, "My father's cousin's brother's roommate was Orthodox Jewish," and
What?
so, and I was like, "What? Where?
What
What?"
the fuck is that?
I mean,
I was, like, I knew that I was not, in a good headspace because I probably would have gotten more heated than he did,
mm,
especially when they started talking about abortion, which is, like, a key issue for me.
we haven't even touched the abortion. There was a good 20 minutes on abortion, but
That
go ahead.
same New York woman was the one basically talking about they allow abortion up until crowning, and I'm like,
Oh yeah,
"No,
no.
no."
Oh my God, I forgot she said that. She
Yes,
literally said that. She said Virginia allows abortion up to crowning, and
no.
I'm like,
And
think
she's
like,
like and the one politician said, like, abortion's, like, up till and I if I had felt like I had it in me to be more civil because I was already heated after
right,
you had your outburst.
yes,
I was like, "I don't know, I'm ready to go here." But I
right,
would have brought up the fact that no, like, if you actually, like, paid attention to what he said, he didn't word it very well, but ultimately it was talking about when there is something wrong with the child, that the
right,
child is not going to survive.
right,
So you try to resuscitate, and then you can make a decision beyond that where you have two choices. Do you keep resuscitating until they just don't come back, or do you make them comfortable, and let them spend their few remaining minutes or hours snuggled with their parents because they have something terminal where they are not
right,
going to survive. It is a non viable, like, sure, the pregnancy may have made it to term, but it's not going to lead to it's not a healthy child. The child cannot survive. It was
right,
worded poorly, but
yes,
that is what he was talking about. And you have these people that try to spin it to, "Oh, it is a perfectly healthy child," and, you
and
ship the
Democrats
kid
just
out,
they wanna
and then you
stab
just
it in the
bash them
face.
with a rock or something, like, on the
Right,
table. It's like, that is not happening.
no,
Murder is not legal anywhere. The
no,
the question is, do you keep resuscitating, which is added stress to that child in
and the
its final
family,
moments of life and the family, and it's also added medical costs because making them
right,
comfortable is less than going through resuscitation efforts,
yep,
and you already had the pregnancy, which costs tens of thousands of dollars, and delivery, and then you have the hospitalization and any treatments that they do, and then you have funeral costs to worry about. So you are just tacking on the bills when we don't have a single payer healthcare system in this country, and
right,
it gets, like, exorbitantly expensive when it is not a healthy pregnancy or when it is not a healthy delivery, healthy child.
yep,
So, again, the guy worded it terribly, but, it really pisses me off when people are disingenuous or misinformed, and I am not entirely sure, how much of it was disingenuous or how much of it was Dunning-Kruger with this woman.
what I'm saying is, we could do 4 hours on this space.
Yeah, we really could.
We could probably do 2 4-hour shows on this space. Um,
Probably. If we start to finish, broke it
start
all down, yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
so and then this it's just a terrible week for it because the election's on Tuesday, and I'm not gonna stream tomorrow or Monday because I wanna rest up before Tuesday night, because
We're gonna be stressed.
Tuesday night's gonna Tuesday night, I don't even know. So we're not gonna stream before then. There's a possibility that I don't want to say that at some point I'm going to address it, because the other possibility is that there's another space that happens. There's going to be spaces after the election too. after Tuesday too.
Oh, God.
So, like, our window of opportunity for responding to this on a normal week would be Tuesday. But Tuesday, anyway, maybe at some point in the future we'll go back. I don't know. Here's my thing. If you don't have anything to do for like 3 hours and you want to go listen to the spaces, just go on my timeline on Twitter, just scroll back and you'll find it. It was a wild one. I honestly, I thought Grant Cardone, because he was in there for a while, I thought he was going to come up, and then he didn't, and I was shocked that he didn't, because I know she offered him a microphone, and he didn't choose to come up. If you don't know who Grant Cardone is the one at the MSG rally who said that, in reference to winning the election, he said Republicans need to slaughter the Democrats, is what he said. He used specifically the word slaughter. Yeah. He was talking about winning the election. I want to be very clear, but that was probably not the right word to use.
Definitely not at the MSG rally. Definitely not with the way the rhetoric has been ramping up.
Right.
When you just had Trump saying essentially, Liz Cheney should go in front of a firing squad for all intents and purposes. It's not like I
read the room, Grant.
Oof.
April says this is the authoritarian plan, though. White people, not white people, sorry. While people are getting outraged about, I'm tired.
It's
about
also
PBS,
not wrong.
they're missing what they are guilty of. Yeah, and I think that was kind of my point too when I started yelling. Was basically what April just said. I would just be repeating what April just said. Like, it's fake outrage about things that aren't happening.
I mean, it's honestly been their play for a long time. Like, even before we had the ubiquitousness of the internet and the information age. I mean, go back to, the time of the Civil War, and it was, if you could convince the poorest white man he was still better off than, a black man, then you could get him on your side. It was all about punching down and keeping those that have no power ultimately fighting amongst each other for the crumbs while they ran away with the bag.
Yep. And, then the question is, well, what do we do about it?
I mean, at this point, I brought this up a little bit on TikTok when we were streaming, like, I don't really know that it's actually gonna get better, because a lot of these people are too far gone, and, there's that cult of personality, and like, cutting off the head of a snake isn't going to fix it. Like, they are in a completely different reality to the rest of us.
Yeah.
And, I mean, short of like, I mean, and this is, obviously I'm not condoning this, but short of like a Clockwork Orange style reconditioning, I don't think we're going to be able to get them back, because as you mentioned on TikTok, the way to get out of a cult is to want to. And we can try to extend the olive branch, but they're not going to trust it, because to them we're, baby murdering groomers that drink the blood of virgins or something. I don't know. Like,
have you drank virgin blood before? It's terrible. I do not prefer virgin blood. It's just not my favorite.
I mean, see, the thing, and this is where we would have a disagreement, because I don't know, there's that earthy purity to it, unlike when you've let them run free range for a bit too long, you don't know what they put in their bodies.
Only free range virgins for me. I mean, that's in this household.
Oh man.
Anyway, free range virgins in this economy?
That's why you grow your own, and then that's a whole
virgins. Oh God. Oh the censors, they all just slammed. Well,
the entire right
wing, being able to stream on all these platforms.
We told you.
But
they admitted it. Burn the witch.
Anyway, if I ever start another band, it's going to be called Free Range Virgins.
Oh, bet.
That's a good one, the Free Range Virgins. Anyway, we will definitely see you. That's the other thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about this week's schedule. Okay. Here's what we know about our schedule this week. Tuesday night at 6:30, we're going to be on TikTok. We don't know what time we're going to leave TikTok, but we know that at 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, we're going to be on TikTok. And Godless Engineer is going to join us for, I don't know if he's going to be there the whole time. I don't know if Godless Granny is going to be the whole time. Ben Dowd might be there.
And that arrow. Yeah.
So there's
He
going to
might
be
pop
people in and out throughout the evening. And if you don't follow me or Kitty on TikTok, you probably should.
I mean, he needs to follow us more than I do.
But still, I'm just saying you should follow both of us. And follow GE too and Godless Granny. They're phenomenal. Depending on what happens on Tuesday is going to determine the rest of the week.
Yeah.
Tuesday's not going to be, I will say this, no matter what happens, Tuesday will not be we're going to stream on both Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday is going to be TikTok exclusive because we're doing a thing. Oh yeah.
Wednesday we'll probably do like what we're doing here.
Wednesday's probably going to be, we're going to do multi-platform. We're going to do YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. I noticed that Instagram gave me some sort of error. They weren't able to stream to.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I don't know why. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. But we would like to also start being live on Insta. That's a thing. So we know that
you can borrow this for the tech gremlins.
I appreciate it. Good Lord. So we're
it's
definitely
made out of measuring tapes.
Oh, I know. It just looks
brilliant.
It looks like a flogger.
It is a flogger.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay.
Yes.
I thought it was.
It is made out of measuring tapes.
Oh, Shadow sent you their thingy.
Oh, let me see. I wasn't looking at Discord.
Anyway, so we know that we're going to be streaming Tuesday and Wednesday. Wednesday will be multi-platform. My suspicion is that we'll also want to stream on Thursday and Friday, but we're going to be really tired by the time Thursday and Friday comes around. I don't know. It depends on what's happening. It really depends on what's happening. So, hi, Vic. Welcome back. I'm glad to see you. So we know Tuesday and Wednesday is going to happen. And Thursday and Friday are likely. We just don't. I know Tuesday will be on TikTok. I know Wednesday is going to be in all the places.
Yes.
YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and I'm going to try to figure out Instagram. I want to start streaming on Instagram and doing stuff with Instagram. So, yes, Jedi. It's going to be a long week. It's going to be a long week, but there's going to be stuff going on that I know we're going to want to talk about. Like, I'm sure of it.
I mean, in 2020, I drank a lot, but I can't drink anymore. So I'm going to have to get through this election sober. So that's why I am hanging out with you. So, misery loves company.
Misery does love company. But I also on the multi-streams for this week, I want to invite people too. So like Maya, who's in the chat, Maya, if you want to come on any night this week, you let me know, whatever night you're available. I want to invite, I want to see if GE wants to, he may want to do his own thing. Like, I don't know. I want to invite President Sunday. So there's a lot of people, or it may be that we're on their channels or that we're multi-streaming together on YouTube. Like, I don't know. I just know that we're going to be around all week.
Because we will likely, hey, the Iowa polling, it's looking good. So, we might not be nail biting until December, but there's no guarantee. And it's like a 1 in a million that we actually have results this week, Yeah.
Listen, if that's
if we do, all the better for us.
If Ann Seltzer is right about Iowa, that Kamala Harris is winning Iowa by 3, this election will be over by 9 p.m. on Tuesday night. Okay? Because that means that Florida's blue and North Carolina's blue and Georgia's blue. Well, we won't know Georgia.
And Georgia is doing the fuckery with the absentee ballots. like
Well,
3,000 absentee ballots
I
haven't
know
been sent
that's a
out.
whole. I don't want to get into that right now because at some point I gotta go to bed. But we are going to talk about that at some point this week, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
So the other thing to keep in mind. Oh, here's the other thing I wanted to say. This election will be over officially on January 20th when the new president is inaugurated. Okay? So
Yeah.
even if the election can't be called by 9 p.m. because not all the polls are closed, but by like midnight, 1 a.m. on Tuesday night, someone could have enough electoral votes to be declared the winner of the election. Is that likely? No.
And there will
However,
be demands for recounts, et
of
cetera, et
course.
cetera.
However, if Harris is winning Iowa by 3 points, if Ann Seltzer's correct, then there would be Harris would have 270 electoral votes by probably like midnight, 1 a.m. Okay? Now, that won't be the end of things because, as Kitty just correctly said, there's going to be all kinds of recounts and they're already filing lawsuits. This thing ain't over until someone is inaugurated on January 20th of 2025.
And
That's when this thing is over.
hopefully it goes off without a hitch. Like,
Hopefully.
I remember in 2016, I did not sleep for a couple of days
Right.
before election day. I kept trying to tell myself he's got a narrow path to victory. Like Hillary, I don't like her. I voted for her because the alternative,
Sure.
and I was sitting on the couch election night watching, the numbers roll in. I passed out on the couch before they called Florida. I woke up at like 4:30 in the morning
Mm-hmm.
and it was like foggy as hell outside. I swear to gods, I thought I woke up in Silent Hill because I see fucking President-elect Trump and I'm like, "No. No." Like, I literally was kind of in shock for a couple of days.
I
I'm
remember
not gonna lie.
so in 2016, that was before I started this channel, obviously. I was live streaming with a friend of mine. He was doing other stuff, but he was like, "Hey, you're really into politics, right?" I was like, "Well, I studied in college." He's like, "Do you want to come on and talk with me about the election?" I was like, "Sure." So I like went to his apartment and he had like microphones set up and stuff. And I was explaining to him like the different states, like in him and his audience about like electoral votes and how they worked and everything. And I remember when Wisconsin was called for Trump that night. Just before that, he was asking me about Wisconsin, and I was like, "Well, Wisconsin's going for Hillary." So like the Democrats know they have Wisconsin, and then it was like 30 minutes later, it got called for. I think it was Wisconsin, maybe it was Michigan. It was one of the two. And he's like, "I thought that was going for Hillary." I was like,
Oh, shit.
"Yeah, I thought I was going for Hillary too." That's odd.
Weird.
I mean, it's fine. I mean, she's still going to win. Whatever. I think then she also lost Pennsylvania. I think it was Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. Somebody can fact check me. I don't remember off the top of my head. And he's like, "Well, is that bad?" And I was like,
Very.
"Yeah, that's bad.
That's very bad.
That's not
That's not
supposed to
good.
happen.
That's not supposed to that's
Listen, I
not
got to go
right.
home."
I'm gonna go curl up, in bed under a blanket,
Yeah,
you know?
suddenly I'm tired. Suddenly I'm tired. I don't think that's going to happen this election. Now, can Trump still win? Absolutely. Trump can
Unfortunately.
still legitimately win. Don't get complacent and think that like, well, Ann Seltzer's poll in Iowa having Harris 3 points up means that that it's over. It ain't over until January 20th when someone is inaugurated.
If you
Okay?
haven't voted already, make sure that you go and do that. Most
Yes.
places, early voting has closed. It ended today here in Florida. Go on election day. Bring somebody with you. Like, make last-minute plans, get it
Yes.
done,
Right.
vote.
Uber and Lyft, you can get 50% off Uber and Lyft on election day.
And if
You're
you
going
are
to vote.
in line, stay in line
Yes.
because they cannot kick you out of line. If you
And if
make
you
it
are
in line,
and if they say that you aren't registered, say, "I am requesting a provisional ballot as required by law." That is a federal law. You can do that everywhere, anywhere and everywhere. If you aren't registered, you can always request a provisional ballot and fill out a provisional ballot. Um, my point is, they're going to do a lot of shenanigans,
Yeah.
and the truth of the matter is, Kitty and I could either like DM each other about it on Discord, or we could just go live and talk with you guys about it. So,
Misery loves company.
misery loves company. You know, I don't know how well any of these streams will be attended, but we're going to do them anyway.
And I mean, it's about, you know, a community and support network, because I can't be blitzed out of my mind for this election like I was the last one. So, that being said, you know, you'll have to just, you know, deal with me going through an existential crisis as the
Right.
numbers start rolling in.
Yes. Yeah, Maya says, I remember when PA went from blue to red, I was like, I'm done now. That was the end of my night. I was like, listen.
Again, I fell asleep before they called Florida,
Right.
and I woke up. I literally felt like somebody had died, and I think it was like I wasn't I wasn't like rah rah America patriotic, but I was like, you know, I love my country, and I think, you know, we're, you know, progressing towards
Right.
the future. Like,
Sure.
we're moving in the right direction.
Sure.
And that was a slap to the face with a barbed wire whip.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
not a fun morning.
No, that was not the kind of spanking you write home about.
No, no, not the
Um,
kind I would enjoy either. No,
no.
no, no, no.
Mm. Yeah, Randy, they have already started with the fuckery, and there's going to be a lot more. They have so many plans. If you haven't watched my video, by the way, the Donald Trump secret plan on how he's going to steal the election, go watch that video. It's somewhere. I don't
Because
know.
they are
Sometimes
pre-gaming, they are gaming, and then they are going to be post-gaming.
yes.
Pre-gaming was, you know, trying to kick people off of the voter rolls
Right.
and doing every bit of fuckery they can, closing down polling places, you know, changing laws to disenfranchise voters,
Right.
using fear-mongering tactics and suppression tactics, like trying to stop people from going out and getting people registered. So
Yep.
they did all that as the pre-game. Then, you know, the game is going to be the election night coverage, where you got your red mirage coming in, because
Hmm.
traditionally the votes that are counted on election day first in a lot of these states, and this is part of the pre-gaming, is the in-person votes that day. There are
Yep.
some states that they can't start counting mail-in or early voting until after the election day, so it delays that. And since
It's Georgia.
Democrats
Georgia's one of those places. Yeah.
and since Democrats tend to vote early or vote by mail, and Republicans tend to vote day of, that contributes to the red mirage. You're going to have
Which
talking heads saying, "Oh, see, Trump's pulling ahead." And then overnight, when the numbers change, when they start getting to tabulating those other votes, the numbers are going to start to shift. And then you'll be
right.
like, see, there's fuckery afoot.
Well, and I forget who brought. I think it was Kitty AB brought it up. I'm trying to credit the right person. That is actually changing in this election. It's flipping. Republicans are voting more early than they have in the past, and Democrats are voting more in person than they have in the past. So that is going to change things. And no one knows how. If anyone is telling you that they know what that what that is going to produce, they don't fucking know. And I'm not naming any names, Nate Silver. I'm just saying that no one knows.
And then the post-gaming will be essentially the lawfare, where they tried to pull a Bush v. Gore and
Yeah.
fight it in the courts.
Yep.
And I mean, try to pull a Trump, you know, with his 60 lawsuits that he filed for the 2020 election. And of the 60 lawsuits, he only won one. And it wasn't even a full win. It was a
Right.
slight, like, procedural, like, technicality.
Yeah,
And
they
that's
like
it. The
they
actual
kept the
merits of
polling,
the case were all thrown out.
and all that happened was they kept a polling place open for like 3 more hours. Like that was the result of it had nothing to do with fraud or anything. It was the fact that there were some polling places where people had been routed to the wrong polling places, and they had to have time to get to their other polling place, where they actually vote. That was it. That was the result of all of his lawsuits.
And again, the talking heads, they are spreading the rhetoric that, oh, you know, Trump is the Dems are trying to seal it. It's, you
Right.
know, it's going to be rigged before votes were even cast. He was already saying that. And the scary thing is that is inciting his supporters to go out and do things like set ballot boxes on fire or intimidate poll workers. I mean,
Yeah.
there have been poll workers that have been assaulted and threatened, and at least 2 cases of arson against ballot drop boxes. And I think they had the first person caught for legitimate case of voter fraud for a woman who voted for her dead mother for Trump. And she admitted
Yep.
it. So that's probably going to be the last time she ever gets to vote again.
Oh, I'm glad that Ko-Fi, coffee reminded me of this. This is why I put it in there, because I never ever talk about this stuff. You can't actually support the stream. I know you can't super chat, and I know you can't join the channel and everything yet, but you can go to coffee.com/ProLib, and support me if you want to. Angry Rat is my first supporter, follows me on Twitter, retweets my stuff all the time. Angry Rat, I love you. Love my other supporters. Kitty supports me over on Twitch. Holy Spackle does. I think Shadow does too. I don't remember all the. Oh, you know what? Wait, I made a banner. So for when this, thanks to my supporters. So I'm going to let that go across the screen for a second because I can thank my supporters. But if you would like to as well, you can. So, and I'm very appreciative to everyone that does, and you don't have to. It's fine if you don't. But I am very, very thankful, and I put that in there.
Liking, sharing, coming, and
Yes.
hanging out, all of those are very important.
Absolutely.
Left-handed Jedi, yes, you were, correct. Back in 2016, he did say that, if I don't win, it's rigged. And sadly, a recent poll came out, some 70% of MAGA people have stated that if he doesn't win, they don't trust the results.
Yep.
Those are terrifying numbers.
Yep. Because those people are... Okay.
TFG? I
have to think about something for a second. Because I got to think how to word something without getting in trouble. So give me a second. Talk amongst yourselves.
I would say TFG, too far gone. Like, those are people that are so far outside of reality that I don't think we can reach them anymore.
All right.
Like, they've left this plane of existence.
I don't want to get banned. So I'm going to tell you guys a story about World of Warcraft. Story time with Ethan. Can I get some music? Let me see if I got some music. Hold on. I have video game music. What does this sound like?
It's story time with not Ethan.
That's loud though. I think that's too loud. What's this? Okay, that may be all right.
Yeah, this.
Can I turn it down? Oh yes, I can. Okay. So let's imagine we're playing World of Warcraft. That this is a World of Warcraft song. It's not, but let's pretend it is. So we're playing in World of Warcraft, and I'm playing my paladin. Kitty, you're playing your hunter.
I mean, sure.
Sure.
I didn't have one, but sure.
Sure. So
paladin, monk, mage, druid.
Mage. You're playing your mage. I'm playing my paladin.
There we go.
And we're out adventuring across Azeroth, as one does in World of Warcraft. That's where it takes place. It takes place on other planets too, but we're going to stick to Azeroth right now because that's you're already way too confused for me to even continue, but I'm going to do it anyway. And we're out there and we're adventuring, and somebody's like, "Oh, hey, I vehemently disagree with you politically." And Kitty and I were like, "Well, we're just adventurers, and we just are adventuring here in Azeroth." And King Varian Wrynn is like, "Yeah. There's an election for new king." And the person that we're talking to is like, "Well, I didn't vote for King Varian Wrynn. I voted for King Illidan." And Kid and I are like, "Well, why would you vote for King Illidan? Like, that's not great." And King Illidan sends out a tweet on Azeroth and is like, "I won this election." And King Varian Wrynn's like, "He didn't win the election." But the person we're talking to, who's a warlock,
Which
the warlock's like, "Hey, we're gonna duel now." And King Illidan's like, "Well, I'm happy about all the warlocks that want to duel all the paladins and mages, because if a bunch of warlocks duel a lot of paladins and mages, I can take advantage of them engaging on all of those duels to create enough chaos to get me installed as king, even though I didn't win the king election. But imagine that in real life, and King Illidan's name is other people that would
Mr.
like to
Mango.
take advantage of lots of dueling in World of Warcraft. And people who have been turned crazy by a decade of propaganda would be more likely to duel random paladins and mages in the streets so that King Illidan could take advantage of the chaos and install himself as king, even though he didn't win the king election. I hope that my story has made sense.
And in real life,
I'll continue.
Mage
Go ahead.
make a portal to Stormwind, where you're safe from PvP, and
Right.
you can't have a paladin bubble hearth to get the heck out of there. It doesn't work. It
Doesn't work.
doesn't work.
Doesn't work. And so,
there's no respawning at the graveyard.
There's no respawning at the graveyard in real life. And
Nope.
so all I'm saying is that all of these warlocks who have been lied to over the past decade about King Illidan would be very happy if they all started dueling paladins and mages on Azeroth in World of Warcraft, because then he could use that chaos to install himself as king, even though he didn't win the king election.
Okay, so I mean, to be fair,
Mhm.
Left-Handed Jedi brings up a good point.
Oh.
Use Frostmourne to enthrall the masses. That is not a bad analogy.
That would be King Arthas, not King Illidan, but yes. Yes. Well, let's say King Arthas instead of King Illidan, because that's better. King Arthas.
Because the argument could be made that Illidan, like giant demon,
right,
embodiment of evil.
So yeah. In World of Warcraft, we're talking about the World of Warcraft.
Yes, we're talking about the game, the lore of the video game. It's a brilliant game. It's been around for 20 years.
More than 20. Yeah, right about 20. It's like right at 20, I think. Warcraft has been around for a long time, but World of Warcraft has been around for like 20. Yeah.
So yeah, totally talking about a video game.
Totally talking about a video game here. So all I'm saying is, over the next little while, if any warlocks in World of Warcraft were to duel paladins and mages, King Arthas would be fine with it, because he could use that to install himself as king.
And after installing himself as king, decide that, you know what, I think we're going to institute martial law, and the rules that are set by the kingdom, that everybody has lived in harmony with for years, we're just going to throw those all out, and what I say goes. My word is law, and there are no checks and balances. Right. There's no constitution on Azeroth. No,
they don't have a constitution. They just got a king. They just got a king. Tatted Tech says boo the show, and I agree. That's quality content. Anyway, so just keep that in mind about warlocks, that they could be a factor in the election no matter what the election results actually say. And that's something we'll keep an eye on around here, are warlocks on Azeroth.
Yes. And make sure that, you reach out to all your non-warlock friends and have plans in place where you can go to non-PvP zones and look out for each other.
Right. No one wants to be in a PvP zone when the warlocks...
Especially not when you have a max level, fully raid geared, player that decides that they want to hang out in Duskwood and just stay there, bumping you off every time you respawn.
We're playing so much inside base. People are like, Duskwood? What is a Duskwood? Is that some sort of disease you go see your doctor about? No.
It's basically the first, if you start in the human area, there's not really a lot of player versus player areas in there.
Right.
But
Just
it's like one of the first early game like areas where you can, if you're on a PvP server, be attacked by the other faction.
right.
So
So
people that are very low level, we're talking, level 20-ish, and you've got people that are like 70, 80, 90, can just come in and just ruin your whole day because they'll just
yes,
wait until you respawn and then just
literally why
drop
I
you
stopped playing
again.
on PvP servers, because it would happen so often, and I got frustrated. This is back in the day. The whole thing's changed. They don't even do that anymore. The whole new. Anyway, now we're talking about World of Warcraft. Um,
Sorry, I
no,
brought us
you're
to
fine.
the
I
weeds.
brought it up. It's my fault.
Yeah, but
Um,
I just went bushwhacking in the weeds a bit there.
no, it's okay, because the point is, no matter what happens this upcoming week with the election, there are going to be other factors at play and other players at play beyond the main players. Even just the low level players could do things like in 2020 on January 6th, when all of those warlocks attacked the
The
city of Stormwind.
Yeah. You'd think the guards would have been able to handle it, but nope. There
Me
just
too,
weren't
Vic.
enough guards.
I'm not. I try. So I have a good friend. His wife played on RP servers, and I joined one with her one time and tried to get into it, and I just didn't work for me. Just didn't work for me. Couldn't get into it.
Yeah, I dove off the deep end when I first started playing, and I went straight to a PvP server, having
Mm.
never played a PvP game before in my life.
Right.
I was on Skull Crusher for my first.
Oh wow. Oh, you were on Skull Crusher. Oh wow. You are a
Yes.
braver woman than I. Ain't no way. No, no, I don't think I've ever been to a PvP server. Early on in WoW, every server was PvP server. You just had to flag yourself for PvP. You had to put your flag up, and then you could PvP anywhere. But yeah, Vic, it is. It's for a very specific type. Anyway, I'm tired. It was a long day before I even got here. Yeah, Vic, I think. I think the problem was that I was having trouble doing it. I'd played World of Warcraft for so many years non-RP that it was hard for me to get out of like the PvE mindset of just like, oh, I see a critter, I'm going to shoot it with my arrow. And then people would be like, why did you just shoot that defenseless squirrel? And I'd be like, I don't know. I just was playing a video game. I just was like shooting stuff. I don't know. Like I didn't have an answer in character. And I was like, I can't role play in World of Warcraft. I can't. It's not the right environment for me.
Yeah, I don't know that I could do it either. Like if
Yeah.
I'm gonna do an RP, it's gonna be like a one-on-one or like a smaller group like writing exercise with some
Yeah.
like-minded friends.
Right.
Although then it tends to, get into the ERP side of things.
Okay. All
A
right.
whole lot of
And
thing.
anyway, I'll avoid that part. Um, so we aren't going to see you again until Tuesday, is my point, because we are resting the next 2 days. Because this week's going to be, no matter what happens on Tuesday, this week's going to be draining. Even if Tuesday is a giant landslide by
For
Herod,
us.
that's going to be draining on Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, Vic, that's what it was. It was too overwhelming. There were too many people.
And you have to try to keep everybody's characters and personas in mind,
It's
and
a
it
lot.
more than like 3 or 4 people, and it just gets way
Yeah,
out of it's unmanageable.
and you've got like this guild that's got like 40 people in it, and they're all like, and I'm like, oh my God, like my brain fried. Anyway, we're not going to see you again until Tuesday. We'll see you Tuesday on TikTok. And then on Wednesday, probably also at 6:30 p.m., we're going to be here. All the places that we're at right now, plus Instagram. I don't know what's going on with Instagram. I'll get it figured out before then. So Wednesday night, 6:30, we'll be here. YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Insta. And then from there, we'll see. I did promise in time that I would go on one night this week. It wouldn't be election night. They invited me on for election night, but I'd already been invited to this other thing on TikTok. So one night this week, I'll probably be on in time to let you know. I'm going to invite people here, or see if they want me in their spaces this week. So we'll see. We're going to be doing stuff. That's my promise. Is that you're going to get the major dose that you're going to get is me and Kitty here. Because even the night that I do in time, I'm probably going to do in time for like an hour, and then I'm going to want to come hang out with Kitty here.
Aw.
So I'm just saying, like, you're going to see us a lot this week, is my point.
Most
Um,
likely.
So, yeah. And then we're going to move from there. I don't know. I know Tuesday and Wednesday are a given, absolute given. Tuesday and TikTok, Wednesday here. I don't know after that because there's too many factors that we don't know how it's going to shake out. So
But we can hope for the best and
we hope
try our best to prepare for the worst.
yes.
And,
Especially
hunker
Warlock.
down, reach out to all your non-warlock friends and
Yes.
have like a text chain, like a group DM, so you can check in with each other, especially if they're like, twink rogues, that they're just little guys. They're just
Yeah.
little guys, and you got
Yeah.
to look out for all the twink
You got to
rogues.
look out for all your twink rogue friends. Your Victoria says, and I'm not, so that's weird. I am just realizing that either way, we should all be buying prison company stock, and that
Not a
so
bad
I
idea.
literally work in finance for like a living, so like I get that joke in a way that would take me 15 minutes to really explain. But Your Victoria, that is very funny. Thank you for saying that. That is very, very, very funny. Hey, Randy, it's good to see you. And you're gonna see me a lot more. I promise. Anyway, I'm going to
And
bed.
he's dragging me along with him,
I'm
so
dragging her along with me throughout this, as much as she's available, of course. And Maya, if you're still there, I gotta find out when you're yeah, Vic, poor Vic, because Vic's name is Victoria, and so when I say You Are Victoria, Vic is probably like, wait, are you talking about me? No, Vic, I was talking about You Are Victoria. You're Vic Lit. This is You Are Victoria. You're Vic Lit. It's two completely different people. It's just like when we have Kitty AB in the chat, but I have Kitty on the show, and so I'll be like, Kitty said, blah blah blah. What do you think about what Kitty said? And Kitty's eyes just start rolling. She's like, wait, my brain. So
And yes, I have been on with Godless Granny a couple of times. She's a delight, wonderful
she's a
human
delight.
being. I love her.
She's a delight. I think Maya went to bed, but I'm gonna see if Maya's available. If Maya's available one night this week, so that we can all hang out, because I think that'd be fun. We might even invite that guy. What's that guy with the hair? What's his name? Dr. Magnet? Dr. Magnet that she does her show with. Magnet. He's a magnet doctor. I know that, but I don't remember his.
I don't remember.
I don't remember his real name, like his given Christian name by God himself is Dr. Magnet. I don't like his first name is Doctor and his last name is Magnet. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. I guess I'm kind of outing him a little bit if you didn't know that, but that is true. But I think he calls himself.
Tapioca Weasel.
No, that can't be it. That's too silly. But anyway, his real name is Dr. Magnet. So that is actually true. Now, Tapioca Weasel, that's too silly of a name. That can't be it. It's got to be something else. You guys are pulling my leg. Anyway, I'm going to see if he and Maya both want to come hang out. I think
That would be wild.
the four of us one night. So I don't know that I can make that happen this week. At some point, I know I can make it happen. I don't know if I can make that
I
happen.
mean, we're gonna have to strap in and strap on for the next, potential couple months.
I am not into that. That is not my thing. Like, I ain't kink shaming, but listen, I'm not into that. It's not for me. It's for some people.
And did I say it had to be for you?
I just want to put it out there because I don't want there to even be questions. Magneto. Yes, left-handed Jedi. That's his name, is Dr. Magneto. That is what I demand everyone refer to him as from this point forward. Dr. Magneto. That's what I want you to call him, is Dr. Magneto.
I mean, honestly, like, Hashtag Magneto was right. I'm sorry. Like, I love Xavier, but he is a little too pie in the sky
You
optimistic,
know,
you know?
when I was a kid, um, you know, X-Men 97, which we'd call it now X-Men 97, but X-Men, that cartoon show, that was like the biggest thing in my life for 2 years. And
Same.
I bought the comic books, like all the X-Men one when they reset X-Men, like all five of those. Like I had all of those, and there was the blue and there was the gold, and I had all of that stuff. And oh yeah, follow me on TikTok too. I'm supposed to say
Yes,
all that.
please follow him on TikTok so he
Yes.
doesn't, so he can get to 1K. We need to
Um,
get him to 1K
we're
as
just
soon
trying
as
to get to a
possible.
thousand, a thousand followers on TikTok.
Yeah,
Which
he's
is the
got to
other
catch up
reason.
to me.
That's the other reason we're streaming on election night is because we know there's going to be a lot of people over there. Magneto was right. Yes, hashtag Magneto was right. I'm
Like, I will unalive on that
unequivocal.
hill. Magneto was right. Xavier
Unequivocal.
was far too pie in
Yeah.
the sky, kumbaya optimistic.
Yeah, Vic. It was like I remember there was this one. It was a comic. It wasn't a cartoon, but it was like Jubilee, and it was either Jubilee or Rogue. One of them just did something that was like, "What are you talking about?" And Professor X had this whole, well, what we need to do is give them more time, and I'm like at some point, dude, you cut the parachute cord. Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to say that about people, but there are people that you get to that point where you're like,
When they want to wipe, or eradicate your kind from existence, like,
right,
there's no middle ground, and
right,
that's another thing from that Twitter Spaces where that one idiot was like, "Well, we just need to find a way to compromise." It's like, if the other side wants to wipe out an entire group of people, there
yeah.
is no middle ground for that.
I think that was George Santos who said that actually,
It might have
and I'm
been.
like, George, you're literally queer, bro. Like,
Like, what?
what is the compromise?
He and I would be one of the first ones on the bus, like,
Yeah,
to the camps. Like, they're not gonna discriminate,
no,
like, just
no,
because you agree with them ideologically.
no.
If you are queer, you are going on the bye-bye trains.
Yeah, Jedi, and that's how Rogue ended up with flight and invulnerability. She tried to take Captain Marvel's powers,
Mhm.
and Captain Marvel was like, "No, I'm Captain Marvel. I am Superman of Marvel, Superwoman of Marvel. I don't know. It's weird to call Captain Marvel. It's weird. It's always bothered me since I was a kid. Like, you can't say Captain Marvel is the Superman of Marvel because Captain Marvel is a woman.
I mean, to be fair, originally Captain Marvel was a guy,
Well, I'm
and
saying
then
when I
Carol
grew up,
Danvers,
right?
took over.
When I was growing up, Captain Marvel would have referred to Captain Danvers, yes, but there was
Yes, Shadow, you
someone
are
else.
absolutely right. Your existence is non-negotiable. You are a
Yes,
delight of a human being and a
right,
blessing to this planet, and I will fight a bitch who will
absolutely,
try to deny you that.
right. I would say that about obviously I'm not queer. I'm a straight guy through and through, but anybody in my audience or my friends that are queer and trans and gay, like I'm no, there is no compromise with that you don't deserve to exist. Like there isn't a compromise. That's one of the places where they have to compromise with us.
Yeah, because you can compromise. It's like, okay, do we want to do a single payer healthcare, or do we want to do an individual mandate, or do we want to do like a public option? Like, you can do the public option compromise between individual mandate, which is the right wing idea, and single payer system. Like, you can find compromise there.
Right.
Fiscal policy, it's like, do we want to set the top marginal tax rate at 40% or at 30%? We can find
Or
compromise.
90%.
You can
That'd be great.
find, yeah, I mean,
You
I'm
know,
but I'm
I
trying
know.
to stay
I
in
know.
the realm of possibility
I
since
know.
the 50s.
I know.
So, but we can find compromise there because there is actually room in the middle, because one side is not so extreme, that there is no ability to, like, it's unconscionable to even entertain the idea of compromising when the position is that extreme. When it comes to fundamental human rights, you cannot compromise on those. Full stop. We can
And
compromise on a lot of things, but not that.
and what I get is I'll say on Twitter, well, I'm not queer. I'm a straight guy. Like what I just said, I'll say that. And then I'll get DMs from MAGAs calling me, you know,
The G word?
child, child.
The G word.
Um,
The one that they call
right.
all of us.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a way to say it on YouTube, but you guys know what word I'm saying. And like I could open up my DMs, which I'm not going to because I could probably get banned for that. Some of the things that people just DM, like random people just DM me on Twitter, because not because I'm gay, but because I say, oh yeah, gay and trans people deserve to exist. And they'll say the most horrible things about me. And I'm like, why?
Oh,
Because
you
I
should
say
see the
that
things they
people,
say to those of us that are, queer and
well,
trans,
no,
like
that's my point. Like that's what I get as a straight person. But the real venom is aimed at you.
Mhm.
And it's like, I'm just getting like side venom, like, like a,
Yeah, you're just catching strays.
I'm just catching straight, like a area of effect, like a warlock throws the area of effect spell at you, but it hits me too, just because I'm in the party. I'm just in the party. I'm not the tank. I'm just a dumbass DPS doing what I can, but I'm not the tank or the healer, right? Like tank and healer, you guys are out in front. I'm just my hunter. I'm just shooting arrows.
I love that we keep bringing this back to fucking RPG games.
Well, that's the way that you talk about things on
It's
YouTube
brilliant. It is
without
brilliantly done.
getting in trouble. This is why YouTube used to consider this channel a gaming channel, because I would play video games. Obviously, you guys remember, but I would also I would use lots of gaming analogies. Even if Harris wins the struggles and whatever, yeah, you are Victoria.
Yeah,
That's where
we
we're
are
at.
in for a rough couple of months no matter what happens.
Yep.
It's just going to be, if it's a blowout for Harris, then that is going to help cushion at least a little bit of the damage. But if it is a close election, then that,
All bets are off.
all bets are off.
Right. And
And it's
warlocks
going to
will
be a
be
lot worse.
attacking a lot of paladins and mages. Excuse me.
And hunters and druids. The poor
Right.
druids. And the
Shadow
little pink robe
says some people don't seem to understand that if you're sitting at a table
with a
with
Yahtzee
with a
and
Yahtzee and you're okay with that, not sitting at it. You're not sitting at a table full of Yahtzees. Yes, yes, yes. If you go to a rally and one person there is a Yahtzee and no one is kicking out the Yahtzee, it's a Yahtzee rally.
because they always say, "Oh, it's just a few bad apples," but they leave out the rest of that proverb that, a few bad apples spoil the whole bunch. Like,
Right,
if you don't remove the bad from everything else, then it's gonna ruin it all.
right. Then the whole thing rots. Yes, shadow splash damage. That was my point. Was like what I'm getting is just splash damage. I'm getting it, but I'm just getting splash damage, just because I say, hey, this party deserves to survive this encounter. April says I'm straight too. It's not hard to love lovely people. I also have no link to Jewish people. Yahtzees make me rage. Yeah. Um, I posted something the other day. I don't remember what it was. And the top comment was a blue check
Of
who
course it was.
pulled a tweet of mine from 2019 where I said that my great grandparents were Jewish. And all he said was, well, that explains it. And it was a
Explain.
screenshot of my tweet. And I'm like,
Huh.
yeah.
I mean, I'm not Jewish, but my grandmother, great aunt, and great grandmother were in one of the internment camps and fled Germany after the war and
Right.
came to America.
Right.
So, I'm not a fan of Yahtzees either.
My dad was up in New York. Actually, what's funny is my dad came back from New York on the Saturday after Helene hit. Like they were out of town when the hurricane hit. But while he was up there, he found the my great grandfather's arrival ticket when he arrived at Ellis Island at 12 years old.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, he sent me a screenshot of it. I've got it I almost showed it to you, but obviously that would be dumb. I shouldn't do that. Anyway, found it. He came over. Imagine being 12 years old and coming over from Italy. on that boat coming to New York. I mean, we already had some people here. Like he was, he's coming here to meet family that was already here. But yeah, he came over on the boat alone. He was all by himself, 12 years old.
I mean, it's crazy
Yeah.
when you think
Well,
about.
they were running from anti-Semitism in Italy.
Absolutely.
That's
I
why.
mean, I actually gave it as a Father's Day gift because I went to DC and I went to the museum there. I'm not gonna say the H word, but if you know the museum in DC, and I got a
Yep.
stack on my family because there are documents from their time that they spent,
And
locked
one of
up
the
in
right,
Germany. And I gave it to my dad for Father's Day. Like because if you go there, you give them the names, they'll print
sure,
it all out and everything, and you're free to just take it. And like they don't charge you anything. They're just like, here, your history, take it.
right. That's amazing.
I think is amazing, like
Yeah,
brilliant. Like I love museums, and that one is important because
sure.
never again.
No,
But
nope,
it should
never,
be never
ever,
again
ever,
for
ever.
anybody,
Yeah,
not just never again for one particular group.
yes, never, ever again for
Never again for
you don't.
anybody.
Right. Yeah. Um, you're gonna get me go a whole other hour on
I'm sorry.
stuff. No, 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 no. I literally like I'm fading, so I can't. But we need to at some point when this is all resolved, we'll do a whole thing
Absolutely.
on
I'm at your
state
disposal.
solutions.
You
I
know how
know.
to reach me.
I do. In fact, in multiple ways.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
well, listen. Today was a day, and
And there's gonna be more of those,
there's going to be
and
a lot.
they're gonna
There's
get worse.
from my recollection, the sun will be rising roughly around dawn tomorrow. So that is the good news. Again, if you haven't voted, please do so. If early voting, like there's still one more day of early voting here, and I know there are in some places you can still vote. You can still vote tomorrow until like 3 p.m. here. I think. I took care of mine. I'm good.
Same.
But I know that a lot of people haven't yet. Please do. And please make a plan. Remember, Uber and Lyft, 50% off on election day to go if you're voting. You just got to let them know and get that done so that we can have the day that we want to have on Tuesday.
And if the carrot of being nice and, do it for country and fellow man doesn't work, then, may you step on a Lego at 3 in the morning
Mm.
barefoot,
Mm.
and may you lose all of your socks, and may the socks that you have left always strangely get wet if you don't vote.
And it's the socks that like halfway through the day, suddenly your big toe is not your big toe. No, no, no. Your middle toe is sticking
Middle
out
toe.
again.
It's gotta be the middle toe.
But you're at work and you can't do anything about it for at least an hour.
And may your bread always be soggy.
Mm.
And may your toast always land butter side down.
Oh God, isn't that the worst? I
I mean,
remember in
just
college when
all of the inconveniences that won't, like, do any real damage, but are not fun, may you suffer those for the end of your days if you don't do your part to save democracy. So if the
I,
carrot and doing it for the right reasons doesn't, then, I'm sending that out into the universe that you will suffer inconveniences until the end of your days
yes,
if you don't fight for
a pox
democracy.
upon your children's children's children. In college one time,
Dishonor on you, dishonor on your family, dishonor on your cow, like dishonor on everyone if you
absolutely,
don't
and your
fight for
sheep and your
democracy.
goats. Um, in
Okay, we're
college,
definitely both overtired at
we
this
are in
point.
college. I'll finish with this. In college, it was like the night, like I was getting paid the next day. I was hungry, but I wasn't getting paid till the next day. I had 2 pieces of bread left. So I put them. I had my little toaster. I had a little because I love toast. So everywhere I've ever lived, I've
Toast
always
is
had a
so
toaster.
good. Toast is
Love it.
so good.
So I put it in. It was about this time. I was tired, and I made them peanut butter. And dorms are small, and it was like my desk, and then it was like the refrigerator with the microwave with the toaster, and then behind me was my bed. So I like made it, like on my desk, and I turned and I caught my foot right on the edge of the desk, and both pieces of bread went peanut butter side down on my bed.
Oh,
And I had no money I didn't get paid till the next day. Like, you get paid at like 3 a.m. And I was like, well, not only do I not have dinner, now there's peanut butter on my sheets. I still ate the toast. I don't care. I picked it up.
Nope.
I ate it.
Nope, that's not safe for YouTube. I'm keeping that
I
thought
don't
to
care.
myself.
I don't care. I did it. I did
No,
it. It's a true story.
it was the thought in my head, not what you said.
Your Victoria says nobody expected the curse.
Yes, I mean, hey, I may be an atheist now, but I was a practicing pagan for a long time, and I will send inconveniences out into the universe for anybody who doesn't fight for democracy, because
Absolutely.
democracy is on the line. The lives of women, AFABs, people with uteruses, queer people, like so many people, like their lives and safety are riding on this election. And just country, democracy, like if you like this country, like even a little bit, you should want to do your part to save it. And going out to vote, yeah, it's an inconvenience. I mean, it would have been easier if you had done like absentee or mail in or early voting, rather than having to scramble on the last day. But remember that for next time, if we have a next time, depending
Well,
on the outcome.
yeah, that's a whole
But
other conversation.
again, it is important. It is important, important, important. Bring, get other people. It is not too late to vote. Polls stay open until I believe 7 o'clock, your local time zone. But if
Right.
you are in line, they cannot kick you out of line,
Yep.
and you have to be allowed to vote if you are in line before the cutoff.
And election night, election night, Tuesday night, is TikTok only. So you have to come visit us on TikTok. Follow me, ProLib Show. Follow her, Kitty the Atheist. Whichever one you want, or both, preferable. But Wednesday night we'll be back, 6:30 p.m. We'll be here, YouTube,
Right.
Twitch, all the places. So, do you have anything you want to say before we go? I'm gonna put my thank you banner back up.
I already did my spiel of
Ah,
a pox on both your houses if
right.
you don't save democracy.
I love you guys.
Yes.
I will see you on Discord a lot, and next time you see our pretty faces, we'll be. April, me too. Me too. I want to live in boring times. Good night, everybody. Thank you for watching. We'll see you
Have a
next
good
time.
night.